You good? Next. Arms up. You good? I got a bag. Let me see that. You good? Next. Oh, no outside food or drink, sir. I'm sorry.
What?
Gotta throw that away. You got a cup.
Them niggas just walked in with guns.
No, I checked it myself. They're good. You gonna put it in the cup or something, or you like,
The water? I'm not. No, I'm saying they walked in with guns and you stopping me for water?
So I'm gonna have to ask you to get out the line, put it in the cup, or throw it away.
My friend's out there. Can you come in?
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah.
This nigga has a gun.
No, we're good. Hey, you got a bag? Let me see. You good?
Before getting into the content here, I'd like to ask you to go down into the comments at some point in time and let me know what I can do better on the videos, what you prefer to see, what you like, what you dislike, anything in between. The feedback is greatly appreciated and it gets me recommended to more people. Thank you. Today, of course, we are discussing the Emiru and TwitchCon situation. Now, everyone and your mom has probably talked to you about this and asked you about what's going on and see what's going on in that head of yours to get your opinion on everything. This seems pretty universal that everything was horribly handled and fell apart instantaneously, and there was supposed to be multiple layers of security, if you can even call them security. I'll get into the background if you don't actually know in a moment here, but of course, at the end of the situation, Emiru came up with a statement saying that she was going to address some additional things that were continuing to affect her that also happened at TwitchCon. On top of that, at the same time, Asmongold took note of this and said, hey, I do know something about what's going on to his viewers, when they, of course, poked and prodded and said, it's not my story to tell and it's not my business. Of course, I gotta be honest, it was pretty respectful given what we know now about the situation. First, we're gonna do a little bit of background here. We're gonna start with the incident, of course. I'm not sure if I can show it on YouTube. I have actually re-recorded this video. That's why it took it a while to come out, because I was waiting for some additional information. But of course, as I've alluded to, it's exploded into something much more sinister in a way. I can't say that for every, moving part in this whole thing, but it's pretty disgusting how TwitchCon itself was handled. The clip going around is, of course, of a guy walking up to Emiru at a meet and greet in which Emiru had expressed that she felt obligated to do, otherwise she would have had her show canceled. And of course, there was a lot of pressure felt by other creators here at TwitchCon to do similar setups. Now, VTubers had their own issues. I'll get into that in a moment, but to explain without showing it, of course, because I'm kind of afraid of someone flagging this or anything going wrong. A dude walks up to Emiru, no one stops her, and tries to just straight up make out with her right then and there. And it must have been horrifying on the receiving end, but thankfully the guy didn't get close, didn't do anything crazy, didn't harm anyone. He did probably psychologically scar her. I'm not really dicking around about that. It's probably traumatizing. He was shoved away by security. Now, at the time, people speculated this was Twitch security, and they were like, oh my god, why the fuck is there only one guard? Am I missing a piece of the puzzle? Did they think nothing was going to happen? And then you start scratching your head, and you're like, well, how the fuck did this guy get even that close if the line's so far away from her? I wish I knew. I really do. Now, here's the fun part. It wasn't Twitch security. It was Emiru's security. So Twitch security, nowhere to be fucking seen. And in the clip that you're seeing right now, that's the dude walking out the fucking door of the venue. Now, this might already come as a shock to you that they were even allowed to have her own security, considering that a few years back that TwitchCon, again, who would have thought, had an incident where someone was basically walking around following Emiru, stalking her at the venue. And basically the guard caught wind of this. He grabbed him up, ripped his shit up. They said, hey, bud, you're not going anywhere. We're going to get the police involved. When venue security showed up and then the police eventually showed up, that's when he handed him off. But unfortunately, he was then informed, you're not allowed in anymore. You can't grab guests. And this is pretty fucking stupid considering the history that streamers have had, including one, unfortunately, losing her life recently. And of course, we've had incidents like with Amaranth in 2022. Also 2022, Brooke AB, I believe, was the name. And Jessic, another one. All of them harassed by stalkers and security just not being present enough to handle the situation and not really making these content creators feel safe. Granted, in this kind of situation with these kind of people, can you really ever feel safe when there's a fucking freaks and shit out there? There were two other content creators I can't remember the name off the top of my head of. There was a whole thing as it was a dude who was involved rather than a woman being essayed. And people just going like, oh, well, it was a dude, it's not that big of a deal. When in reality, regardless of the situation, no one should be endorsing it because it does create an environment in which it becomes semi-acceptable, and then it just spirals out of fucking control. Now, I may be repeating some information you've already heard, but if you haven't, essentially the manager got really pissed on Emiru's behalf and began discussing things with additional Twitch staff and security over at Amazon. Representatives pretty much downplayed the whole thing. We're like, hey, we got his Twitch account, we're gonna ban him for like 30 days, or maybe it'll be indefinite. You know, maybe we'll move the goalpost a bit. And we're talking about assault. Sexual assault. I gotta be upfront. I don't know if YouTube would be censoring this video because I've said that, and it would be unfortunate if so, but that's what we're talking about at the end of the day. Police immediately should be involved, and this guy should be fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin slammed into the ground and held there until police arrest him. Because we can't just let the motherfucker just walk and do some shit like this. God forbid he does anything else to anyone else, because he had time to do it. Thank God he didn't, but of course, Twitch just couldn't fucking help themselves. And when they put out a statement regarding the entire situation, because the internet was naturally blowing up and freaking out and tearing down every one of their Dan Clancy posters, they came out and said, we apologize for the lack of security over at TwitchCon. We have failed you, and we do apologize. Again, as we've already said a couple other times in some tweets earlier before putting out this official statement, the specific content creators affected will be taken care of. Not name dropping Emiru, because it specifically happened to Emiru, and that's what everyone's freaking out and pointing out about. But instead, they decided they were going to wait until recently, and they were like, we're sorry, Emiru. I'm sorry.
Happened to a high-profile creator. Police were on site. We're cooperating with law enforcement investigations. What I was wrong about was, they were not cooperating with law enforcement investigations. I found that out on Monday when I got a phone call from the San Diego police.
Now, of course, up until what I've told you, you've probably already guessed that Twitch didn't give a fuck and didn't handle the case at all and were pretty much hands-off. It gets even worse when, of course, you take into account what I said earlier, they knew who he was enough to the point where they had his Twitch account. It's kind of a big fucking deal when you know so much information about a guy to the point where you have his Twitch account. So you could go ahead and give him a little slap on the wrist on the website that you own. Yeah, it's really gonna show that guy to sexually assault women again, huh? And through the grapevine, we so graciously get to hear that he was just talking to someone at someone else's job about this. And of course, that blew up and got sent over to Emiru. And her manager got involved once more with Twitch and cannot get his information to better protect herself and her fellow content creators. Now, of course, this dude made it far enough without issue to be able to walk into a business, a place of business. Maybe he got home, maybe he went to work, maybe he went to someone else's house and sat in his car. We have no idea because nothing was acted upon in a proper manner of time, nor what is it ever going to be, which sort of makes sense from a business perspective. You don't want to hand out your clientele's information to the police, but when you're filing a police report on a police-related matter with a crime, with the face of one of the faces of your platform here, I feel like we might have dropped the ball. I understand you don't want to give it straight to the manager and personal individuals. Why did it take so long to get it to police, though? I mean, you guys seem to have this fucking geolocation lock on him, down to the point where you had his IP address so you could pull his Twitch login and you know exactly who the fuck he was, and we're like, you know, you might catch a ban. You know, our moderators might have to step in on this fool. And I understand it's more of a personal matter, and we'll get into it in the next video, of course, that I'll go ahead and post at the end. That's going to come out before this one, so don't get too confused when you see that. Ms. Kiff was also there. Ms. Kiff had informed another employee, trying to reach out to Emiru, of course, that if Emiru ever comes after him, he's going to, quote, destroy her. What the fuck? This is coming after the fallout of their relationship, and to give you the summary of the video that you could go ahead and watch next, basically Ms. Kiff has been on this insane schizo, like absolutely unhinged behavior, set of rants. He's sending messages to Emiru in like these huge fucking paragraphs, Discord, Instagram, whatever, constantly trying to reach out to her about their breakup. Of course, they had a relationship for a few years, and things, unfortunately for them, turned pretty sour, and things didn't go very well. Now, to give you a little bit of background of what I've been discussing in the other video, in short, Ms. Kiff kind of has a history of being paranoid and having people that he assists or work with in any way, shape, or form be better content creators or have a higher viewership than him, and then unfortunately played into a role and pretty toxic way in the relationship in which he felt that he was inferior to her and all this other shit, basically just domestic abuse, blamed her for it. To sum it up, the simplest way I can, that's why there's a whole other video explaining everything that happened, but it's pretty fucking disgusting shit, and for him to show up and say some shit like that to security and then him not being escorted off the fucking premises immediately, especially with the event that was going on out, there may have been communication issues, maybe not everyone at the event knew about that happening right away, but that should have been a red fucking flag. Anything like that should have been a red flag right away, and they should have shut everything down. Get that motherfucker onto the streets. Get him out of here. It's very unfortunate. It must be very stressful for Emiru in this current set of scenarios and circumstances. I'm stumbling over my words because I can't find like the thought process to be in her headspace. When I usually record videos about this kind of stuff, I do try to like get in the headspace of the individual I'd be discussing, and I just can't imagine being in this scenario. It's fucking near unfathomable, the amount of shit layered on shit there is. And if you have watched all the way through, I highly recommend watching the other video. It did come out first. Go ahead and click that at the end of this video. And if you like it, dislike it, let me know why in the comments, and let me know what I can do to improve on the content. Is the microphone cutting out? The quality not doing it for you? The content in the background? What are we looking for? What are we doing here? Thank you for watching all the way through. Take it easy.